So, you've unsubscribed from D&D Beyond. You've vowed never to play Dungeons & Dragons again until this whole OGL mess is fixed, but you don't know what to do next. Let's explain everything you need to get started with Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Tell me!
One of the best known alternatives to Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition is Pathfinder, a fantasy role-playing game published by Paizo. Now, Pathfinder started off as a monthly publication of Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 adventures, set in the world of Golarion. However, Paizo quickly pivoted to turning Pathfinder into its own full-fledged game system when Dungeons & Dragons announced its switch to 4th edition, and the accompanying game system license, which was much more restrictive than the OGL. If this sounds familiar at all, let's just say that time is a circle.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Now, for years, Pathfinder set itself as an alternative to D&D, specifically for those who enjoyed the crunchiness of 3rd edition gameplay. Now, in 2019, Pathfinder released its 2nd edition, which made the game feel even more distinct from Dungeons & Dragons, while also adding a lot more balance to the game, and, providing a lot more options. So, what rulebooks do you need to play Pathfinder? Well, here's one of the best parts about Pathfinder. All of its rules are available for free online. Now, you might have seen D&D's basic rules available on Wizards of the Coast website, or, lots of places, and that's all thanks to the SRD and the OGL. Well, all of Pathfinder's rules, from those found in the core rulebooks to those found in the various expansions and adventures, are covered under Pathfinder System Reference Document, and thus are available at places like Archives of Nethys for free. Now, not only are these available for free, Pathfinder actually encourages this. They have partnered with Archives of Nethys and with other systems that are set up to support their game. Now, there's not an extensive compendium or character builder like D&D Beyond. However, many players use the Pathfinder Nexus by Demiplane, which is being slowly built into a D&D Beyond equivalent. It already contains an easy-to-access compendium, and they are working on a character builder now. There's also the Path Builder tool, which is a free tool that allows you to build your character and actually plan it out, so you can figure out what feats you'll need in order to turn your character into exactly what kind of character you want. Of course, it's still handy to pick up a core rulebook for reference's sake, especially if you're a game master. And you'll also want a bestiary if you really want to get started and to plan out that Pathfinder campaign. Now, newer classes can be found in the Advanced Player's Guide, the Secrets of Magic rulebook, the Dark Archive rulebook, and Guns and Gears.
Okay, so now that you know what you need to get started, what about the system itself? How is Pathfinder 2nd Edition similar to D&D, and in what areas is it different? The good news is, a lot of Pathfinder 2e plays similarly to Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. It's based off a d20 system, so the way you attack, cast spells, and make saving throws is almost identical to D&D, with the minor tweak that instead of saving throws for each ability score, you just have 3 like Reflex or Fortitude. In Pathfinder, your initial ability score bonuses all come from both your race, your class, and your background, but that is something D&D has started to move towards already anyway. One of the big differences is that while D&D and Pathfinder both have 3 things you can do per activation, in D&D this is a move, an action, and a bonus action, but in Pathfinder 2e, these are all just considered actions, and you can do whatever you want with them. For example, you could use all 3 actions to move, and move 3 times your speed. Or you could use all 3 actions to attack, although every time you attack after your first attack, you get an increasing penalty to hit. Basically, Pathfinder 2e is a lot more flexible with the 3 actions you get to use every turn. The other big combat difference is probably the attacks of opportunity. In D&D, they happen whenever you leave a threatened square, but in Pathfinder, you have to have a special feat to even make them, and monsters must have a special ability to make them as well. So you're a lot freer to move around the board, since very few things will be able to actually make attacks of opportunity. Skills also tend to matter more in Pathfinder, as skill checks tend to be higher, meaning you really need training in a skill to have a chance to be effective at it, as you will run into a lot of DC 25 or even 30 checks before too long. But luckily, every level you get a couple of points to keep improving the skills you do have. This means characters in Pathfinder tend to be a little more specialized, but they get to really excel at what they're good at. There are some more minor differences, like how monsters tend to have more variety of actions, and how martial classes in Pathfinder tend to hit significantly harder than in D&D. But honestly, if you have played D&D, you already know about 90-ish% of what you need to play Pathfinder.
So what adventures should you get for Pathfinder 2e? One of my other favorite parts about Pathfinder are the adventure paths. Now, Pathfinder is really built up on its very strong, pre-written adventures, all of which are set in the world of Golarion. For the most part, each adventure is a standalone story, although players might notice some small crossovers or teases of future bad guys within the adventure. Now, there are 31 total adventure paths, many of which have 6 chapters that go from level 1 all the way up to level 20, and there are 7 adventure paths that are made specifically for 2e. One of the things that Paizo has started to do recently is that not every adventure path goes from level 1 to level 20. There are shorter adventures and more concise adventures, so people can sample out different kinds of stories and adventures. The most popular 2e adventure path is Abomination Vault, which is a mega dungeon adventure where players must venture into an ancient dungeon that sits under this strange landlocked lighthouse. This was actually collected into a hardcover book last year, similar to one of D&D's standard campaign books. Also released last year was the 2nd edition version of Kingmaker, which is one of Pathfinder's most popular adventures. Kingmaker is a hex crawl in which players build a kingdom in the Stolen Lands while fending off rival nations and also this mysterious Fey threat. You may remember, actually, that Kingmaker was turned into a video game not so long ago, and the 2nd edition version of Kingmaker contains many of the NPCs and plotlines created just for the video game.
So finally, what else could you need to start playing in a Pathfinder 2nd edition game? The good news is you already own all the dice you'll need, your D&D miniatures are basically interchangeable with Pathfinder minis, but if you really want to get to learn a specific class, you can always pick up one of the Beetle and Grimm Complete Class Chronicle books that will literally have all the abilities, spells, feats, items, and anything you can think of for the class of your choosing, along with a lot of info about how to play them to their fullest. But even these are purely optional, as all the Pathfinder rules are available online for free, as we mentioned. Paizo also does make some handy pocket-sized versions of all their source books now that are more portable and cheaper to buy, in case you just love having a rulebook handy. But honestly, Pathfinder might be the cheapest TTRPG to get into on the market right now. And we hope after watching this video, you feel comfortable sitting down to a table with some friends and giving it a try. If you liked the video, feel free to give us a like and subscribe, and as always, we'll see you next time.